from the moment that I saw King Kong, I wanted to become a filmmaker. I mean, it was as simple as that. If I hadn't happened to watch this particular movie on television as a 9-year-old, I probably today would be an architect or a plumber. I wouldn't be doing the job that I'm doing. So I owe King Kong a huge amount. And the idea of remaking King Kong is something that, for a long time I wouldn't really have thought about doing it, but I think the recent advances with computer technology, the idea of doing a version of King Kong telling that amazing story with a technology that is now, state of the art and current, I think is a real relevance, because as a black and white classic film, it's always going to obviously exist, but there is an audience today. There's a young people who I don't think really have the patience to look at black and white films anymore. I first became aware of Michel Ansell's work last Christmas, actually, because I had a wonderful time playing one of his earlier games, Beyond Good and Evil, which was the most wonderful adventure game. It was imaginative, there were great characters, and I thought that Michel has just a great storytelling skill in making you so involved in the game as a player that you actually become emotionally attached to the characters that you're playing with. I was able to play Beyond Good and Evil endlessly, from one end of the game to the other. I think it took me 3 or 4 days to get through it, and I just had a great time. And I thought, wow, if somebody this imaginative can take that story and actually get me so involved in it, this is the sort of person I'd love to work with on King Kong. I think it's critical, if you're making a game that is based on a movie, that there's obviously incredibly close collaboration, and for us this has been really important from day one. And so we've given the Ubisoft team absolutely unlimited access to every creative aspect of our film production. They've come down here for meetings during pre-production, looked at artwork. They've visited New Zealand while we've been shooting. We've opened up the doors of our art department, of Weta Digital, Weta Workshop, all of the design departments. We really want the game to be an absolute close brother or sister to the film. We want the two to feel like they belong in the same universe, that they come from the same creative point of view. And so we have felt that that was critical. We didn't want the jungles of Skull Island in the game to feel like a completely different jungle to the movie jungle. We wanted there to be a synergy, a creative synergy, thematic. We wanted you to feel that when you pick up this game and play it, that in some respects you're reliving part of the movie, and in fact you're expanding on the movie. We've shared every aspect of the designs of the film, not just the jungles, but with the dinosaurs, and obviously the main title character, King Kong himself. From the very beginning we've collaborated with Ubisoft and shown them all of our concept designs, even as the designs have been developing and evolving and changing as they have during the course of the production. So the dinosaurs of Skull Island, King Kong, they're going to be exactly the same in the game as in the film. In fact, what's exciting is that the game in some respects expands upon the film, because we designed a whole lot of creatures for Skull Island, and yet when it came time to do the movie, we could only put obviously a limited amount of dinosaurs into the film or into the background jungles, and so we gave Ubisoft all of our conceptual art, and so they've actually been able to put our dinosaurs that we couldn't fit into the movie into the game. So the Skull Island jungles of the game are actually more populated than the film, and yet they are designed by the same people that designed the creatures in the film. So there's that wonderful expansion that the game can do beyond what the film actually can achieve in the limited screen time that you have. A game obviously is a much broader, wider experience. I wanted the game to be able to take the audience a little bit further than what the film could, and so we explored different aspects of how you'd actually play the game. Obviously one of the main decisions is what character you're playing, and the obvious human character is Jack, who is Adrian Brody's character. He's the lead heroic character in the film. But we also thought very early on that it would be interesting to structure the game in a very similar way to the film, which basically intercuts between Anne and Kong and Jack and the sailors who are pursuing them. I mean, the film jumps backwards and forwards between these two storylines until they intersect. And we felt it would be good to actually create a game that had a very similar structure, and we also thought it would be particularly cool to be able to play Kong. Feels like when you've got that controller in your hand, it's one thing to be obviously playing a human being, being pursued by dinosaurs, fighting dinosaurs, trying to rescue Anne, trying to find King Kong, but to actually be able to, on some levels, spin around and become Kong himself and to defend Anne against Tyrannosauruses, because in a sense our two characters, Jack the human and King Kong, have the same objective. They both care about Anne, Darrow, Naomi Watts' character. They both want to protect her, and so they both basically have a very similar agenda, and yet they're actually intersecting, which is going to lead to this very interesting course that the gamer is going to find themselves playing as they actually alternate between these two characters. I think one of the most enjoyable aspects of the game will be the sheer survival aspect, that you have to actually survive in what is probably the most dangerous jungle on Earth, and every obstacle is thrown at you, not just the physical obstacle of what the terrain of the island is like, but the creatures, the insects, the dinosaurs. You know, we think of King Kong and we think of huge gorillas and big tyrannosauruses. I mean, they're in the game, but also Skull Island has some incredibly nasty insects. It's just, and it's a very, very difficult place to survive on. And so that great tension of having to figure out how you're going to survive to get the next 10 feet is going to be one of the challenges of the game. I really love collaborating on the game. I think really from a purely selfish point of view, it's given me a great opportunity to learn about how games are created from an incredibly successful and wonderful team of people. And you know, I felt like a student, really, just sitting down and trying to help. I mean, I've, you know, as the guy making the movie, I've tried to offer as much advice and feedback and opinion as I possibly can. But you know, basically the you know, Ubisoft team, with Michelle Ansel at their helm, are doing just a fantastic job, and I'm you know, just playing the game, enjoying what they're showing me, and throwing them any ideas, suggestions, feedback. But it's just a wonderful experience. It's like, you know, almost making a second film at the same time as I'm making the first one. It's like two parallel productions happening at the same time, both, you know, heading towards a common goal. And I'm glad I'm only helming one of them. It'd be too much to do both.